Okay, everyone, welcome. Thank you for joining me here. We are now back in the Mushroom Cup, Flower Cup, that is, action for Australia, which will be our race tonight. We are just now getting the grid up and going. So, again, we do have kind of a revolving door for this kind of setup. We have largely the same people, but a couple new guys sprinkling in just to see any new talent out there that we can find and potentially add to the rest of the races. So we're here to see who's got the pace and who doesn't. Couple storylines ahead of the night. I'm just trying to get my stream link to work here, but it's not working very well. A couple storylines ahead of the night to talk about. First things first would be the guys at the top. That would be your Van Amersfoort racers, Hazy and Rami. As far as I'm aware, I've done some number crunching myself. They have done enough to clinch that Constructors Championship, so that is your champions for this season, as far as I'm aware. So for now, between them, it's going to be open season. No more teamwork really is required. Now it's just up to them to battle and see how the rest of the tournament shapes out on the drivers' front. Speaking of the drivers, we have a couple things to talk about. Besides the two boys way out in front, we got T-Bone and Zavgab as well as Zakario engaged in a nice little battle for the P2 in the standings. It's actually quite close, I believe, with T-Bone currently at 97 points to put him in third behind Hazy and Rami and Zavgab only at 91 behind. So only 6 points difference right now is on the line. And actually, looking at the top, we might have a little Hamilton-Rosberg situation here. Hazy and Rami are actually very close on points. I didn't realize, with Hazy actually being in the lead with 167 points to Rami's 160. So definitely some things to fight for out there. We'll see who puts the elbows out, who maybe is a bit more accommodating on track tonight. Just going through our roster right now, looks like we have the return of Kaz. Made some really good choices in the last race around Britain, which saw him benefit in the end, so good to see him back. Krusty UT is again here, newer face to the league. Let's see what he can get done tonight. Tilmo, perennial reserve, is going to put his hat into the ring for the win tonight in the Trident. Let's keep an eye on him as well. And then the rest of the guys I think we've seen before. Solrak in and out, but he is here now with Leader Liebeg as well. And Flip Flop has decided to join the fray once again. So he had a pretty tough race last race, just due to some contact and some shenanigans, shall we call them. So hopefully we can see a little bit more of him tonight. Hopefully he can get a good lap in for qualifying as well. That'll put him in a good position. But again, I think we are missing Hemi as well. Again, he's usually a guy I like to keep an eye on in these events. And then I think the last thing I really had to announce and kind of say before we get going is Chenzo. Chenzo is now going to be a permanent driver in this league. Who he's decided to race for the Prima team. So good luck to Chenzo, and we'll be seeing him every Tuesday moving forwards. As long as I can make it, of course, as well. It's not always guaranteed, but happy to be here again. And we should have a really exciting race ahead of us. Australia is a really interesting track, one that has changed a lot recently, and I personally believe the changes are for the better. We see, some turns being eliminated, some turns being tightened as well. So I really think the track has now really found its home. I think before, it was a little bit shaky to get moves done. It was not always the most exciting race, but now it's someone that it's a race that I always look forward to in real life and also in the virtual realm as well. So we'll break down the new track once we get into it. Right now, we're still getting the grid underway. Perhaps there might be some confusion about how many people can actually race tonight. Technically, it says there can be 22 drivers, but I believe I might be taking up one of the spots as the spectator right now. So I apologize for whoever I am inconveniencing. Hopefully you can find some solace and entertainment in the stream and watch that instead. I know it's not quite the same, but I think that is what's going on here. Anyway, I haven't been able to actually link my stream to the chats here, so I'm going to try and get that going. It just hasn't been letting me. There we go. So now it should be in the chat for everyone else to watch and enjoy. We got a couple racers in attendance as well. Looks like we got Bone here. I think I saw Dastardly earlier. Kaz. All are all here listening in, so hopefully you don't get too bothered by me commentating while you're racing. But no, it's all in good fun. Hopefully you guys enjoy it and have a good race out there tonight. And TJ, is that him? I think that's him saying "Let's go." So we got some fans in the grandstands tonight, I should say. Who would have the most fans? Well, one person who's always kind of has a reputation following him is Kevwood for sure. Kevwood has had a pretty good F2 season this season. I think he is gelling with his Campos machine pretty well. It's been quoted as the re-emergence of Kevwood this season. It's probably the 50th time I've heard that phrase in the past year or so, but we'll see where he is emerging to and also where he is emerging from. I'm not quite sure. I'm looking to see him well in the points today. And then also we have Kevin90 joining us, a long-time full-timer from the Mushroom Cup, the F1 league that we also run, who is known to be very clean and very respectful and has some great racecraft. So overall, I'm going to hopefully see a lot of good action, and we're going to enjoy that together. But for now, I am starting to run out of things to say, so hopefully we can get this started. Looks like we have 12 and 17 laps ahead of us, so I'll quickly go through the format again just to kind of waste time, honestly. We're going to start first with a one-shot qualifying, just one lap around the track. Whoever sets the fastest lap time will be given the pole position. We will then move into the sprint race, which is the shorter of the two races, where there is points up for grabs, I believe, up until the top 8. Don't tell me I disconnected. Hopefully I did not. And then also for the sprint race, the qualifying results are flipped for the top 10. So the person in 10th starts in first, and the person in first starts in 10th, vice versa, just to promote some action and some overtaking. But really, the sprint race is only there for the top 10, top 8 guys to get those few minor points. Most of the points are going to be coming from the feature race, which is the second race we'll be watching this evening. That will be the 17 lapper, and that is where most of the points are going to come from, including points for fastest lap as well. And then I do think we have pole position does also net you 2 points as well. So that's all the opportunities you can get, either top 8 in the sprint or top 10 in the feature, and then a couple points up for fastest lap and pole. Anyway, I really am running out of things to talk about now. Not sure what the holdup is. Looks like we have quite a full lobby here, so I think just maybe one more person perhaps to squeeze in. But like I said earlier, potentially I am taking up that person's spot right now. So whoever that is, I do apologize. Let's open up some whoop ass. That's right. Let's get this going. And then I guess while I'm sitting here, we can also talk about the remainder of the season. So already this Flower Cup season is getting towards the twilight stages. We have 2 races left after this one. As far as I'm aware, the next race will be Baku, which will be next Tuesday. And then the Tuesday following that will be the season finale at Montreal at the Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve. They renamed the circuit after myself after I won a couple races there, but looks like it was changed back to Gilles Villeneuve, so looks like my flex is no longer there. I'm just kidding. As for moving forward, I imagine we're going to be moving into the next season after that with some new teams being made. I can definitely tell you right now, Hazy and Rami should not be on a team in this format. They are way, way, way too dominant. They are, again, like I was saying at the start, 1 and 2 right now in the standings with a huge lead to P3. So really, it's an open ring for them. They can do whatever they want. There's no long-term implications. Obviously, they want to be respectful of each other, and I'm not saying that, but they do have a battle to settle now. As here we go, we see now the drivers readying up, so it looks like, yeah, we weren't able to get the other driver in there. Again, I think I am taking up that spot. Anyway, we are now counting down to get set for our qualifying session here. It's going to be very quick. I'm going to say as a guess right now that we will be seeing Zavgab on pole, but that's purely my guess. We'll see if that comes true or not. But here we now are loading into the session, and as far as I'm aware, the weather is questionable. It's not going to be consistently the same. Whether Bone did actually implement some weather changes himself or he put it on dynamic, I'm not sure, but I would expect to see some change throughout the event. Let's see how the track immediately is here, though, in the one shot as we are loading in. Please wait, please wait. Perhaps someone not choosing their tires. Isasco. And here we go. So we are, looks like, going to be dry and perhaps some cloud cover right now to cover our qualifying session. I'm getting some information from T-Bone here. Looks like Parc Fermé is off, so the drivers can put a little cheeky setup together to get this pole and perhaps change it for the race as well. That is an interesting change. You can take advantage of that. You know, you can set up a really high downforce car, and then when the race starts, you take all the wing off and you can't get passed by anyone. So hopefully we don't see too much of that going on, but now we are getting ready for the one shot. As here we are underway, I'm going to try and get on board with Zavgab here. Figured out a much better way to do this since last time. Let's see if my prediction holds true. He is now up to P3 and 2, kind of mingling in there with the two Van Amersfoort boys, T-Bone and Chenzo. He's now heading into turn 3. Wants to just touch the inside curb. Looks good through there. Now through 4. And the very, very tricky right-hander of 5. Very difficult to keep the car straight through here all the time. We have Tilmo getting his lap deleted, or actually he was disqualified rather. But we see Zav now making his way through 6, and I think Hazy is looking pretty good for this pole position so far, but it is very close between the drivers. It'll really come down to the last sector here, I believe, as now we enter into the fast chicane, the new section of the track, which was previously a bunch of turns. Now it's a straight through, I think it's 11 and 12, if I remember correctly. The fast chicane, very, very dangerous but exciting corner. And we did see some changes through that corner with Chenzo benefiting. He's now into P2. Oh, P3 it is. Neck and neck with the Van Amersfoort boys. It's going to be really, really close. Who will come out on top as we get to now the slow Sector 3? How's the rotation? It looks pretty good. And then the worst turn of the track, the last one, because you just want to squeeze the power down, but the car won't let you. Looks like Chenzo had a good run through there. Down the straight towards the line. It's going to be very close, but Hazy Ozzy picks up the pole position by actually almost 4/10 in the end. Very, very strong. Looks like my prediction was wrong. Zavgab's in P4 with 6/10 gap or so to Hazy. We had Rami in between Chenzo and Zav there. And then we will cover the rest of the grid as it loads up here. So let me study the gaps a little bit. It will kind of give you an idea of how close everything is. And it's fairly consistent. I expect to see a few packs on the track today. But anyway, P5 is Bella Stiu. Sweet Teej is in P6, looking really nice. Kevin E90. F2 debut, at least on my channel, in P7, with Kaz following him in P8. He's 2.2 seconds off the pace. Sicario is going to be in P9, and Rasta will be your pole sitter for the sprint race in P10. Isasko will be right behind him, but not actually on track, because he will still stay in P11, followed by Krustier T, Kevwood, JJ, Skeetabike, Solrak, Lidlebag, and Dastly are the last drivers to get a lap time in, and then we had 3 drivers DSQ for various reasons, being Tilmo, T-Bone, and Flip Flop, perhaps looking to put themselves there on purpose. Hello, T-Bone. Good luck, sir. Good luck. Oh, and Race Court is here as well. Wow, we have a big audience tonight. I'm getting a little nervous here. Judge Woody has blessed us with his presence. But here we are, now getting ready for the sprint race. So the top 10 will be reversed. Looks like it's going to be the similar weather we saw earlier, potentially a little bit of cloud cover, but no water droplets to be seen. I really hope Tomo comes back, because if he leaves a session immediately like that, taking up a car when perhaps there was someone else that wanted to drive it, that is pretty dumb if you ask me. So hopefully he comes back. Hopefully that's just an issue. Anyway, we are just getting ready now, and again, Parc Fermé is on, so off. So perhaps we did see some changes being implemented into the race now. Maybe some wing being taken down just to make the car a little bit more slippery. I'm sure someone's taking advantage of that. But we should be getting going any second now. Here we go with the with the formation lap. That's a new change. Looks like the formation lap is now being implemented because it actually works. But like I said, Rosicic is going to be your pole sitter for now because he was in P10 with the grid reversed from what I read earlier. So we'll see how Rami, Cenzo, Hazy, and Zav can fight through. Hopefully they don't get involved in any, kerfuffles, shall we say, and they don't fall down any further, because it is hard to make up for a bad start, especially in these F2 cars. You got no ERS deployment to use. It's purely up to your driving skill, your ability to place the car, and some DRS every now and then. So you really want to stay with the drivers. It's hard to catch up sometimes. And the tires can also play a factor. So it looks like we are seeing, let me do that while we have some time. We are seeing some differences in strategy with people on the super softs and the mediums. No pit stop is required for the sprint, so most of these drivers are hopefully planning to take these tires the whole length. But we did see in Britain that huge problem that T-Bone and Zav experienced, just running out of tires. I actually talked to them after the race, and their tires were at like 85, 90% or something like that by the end of the race. So no wonder T-Bone did decide to pit back in that sprint. Maybe that'll sway some decisions. Perhaps people are a little bit more conservative in that decision tonight, but I do see T-Bone down there in P20 with those super softs on. So he's going for it. Let's see what he can make up. And let's see how the tires compare over time. Super soft is not, a compound I'm too familiar with. I mean, you do go through the Pirelli range in the F1 cars, but you're not actually sure what would be considered a super soft anymore. So we'll see how long it lasts. Australia is known to wear the tires. It's very high speed, lots of demand, lots of load going through the tires, especially the last turn here as we see Rasta going through now. Anyway, let's get rid of this information and get ready for the race. And I remember last time I did a commentary here, the cameras were horrible for the opening start of the race here. So let's see if that has been rectified. I highly doubt it, because you can see we see Rasta driving all the way to the front of the grid now, and our camera is still from the last turn. Look at that. That is atrocious. How is someone supposed to get anything out of that? I do not know. So we will go on board, where I prefer to be anyway, right in the heat of the action. Let's keep an eye on the top 5 here for the initial launch. Let's keep an eye on Sweet Teach's point of view. But we now have the drivers settling in as we have the 5 lights being prepared. Can't see them yet. Here's the revs. There they are. 5 lights are coming on. It's going to be a bar fight, and we are off for the Flower Cup in Australia. Looks like a good start from Sicario on the fresher tires, looking to take the lead off of Rasta. And E90 is on the inside of Sweet Teej as well, but Sweet Teej did make it through. Zav is collected a little bit with Kevin E90, but they both get through there. And Rami now is right beside Zavgav. Will he make the move into turn 3? Looks like not for now. Oh, but he gets bumped from behind, potentially from his teammate. We see all the cars now going through with someone going off there. I believe that was Dastardly in the gravel. And now the drivers are heading through the dangerous turn 5. Oh, we see big contact and some kerfuffles up there with the top 3. Oh, I would have loved to see that. I was just in the wrong angle to see what happened there. But Sicario did benefit from that. He's 2 seconds ahead now. And it's going to be hard for anyone to catch up. Oh, we have big contact. 4 cars spinning around. Oh my god, we got Zav being collected. I can't even tell you who else that was. I think it might have been Chenzo. No, maybe not. That was a big collision. It happened so quickly, I couldn't even tell you the root cause of that. But that has brought out the virtual safety car, which will neutralize the race. It will not bunch them up. The safety car is not out yet unless it gets upgraded. But it'll just make everyone drive under a slower delta for the time being. In terms of pits, I don't think anyone's going to be able to hop in there and take advantage of it. It's just a little bit too early. You're just going to be inconveniencing yourself. Like, if you pit now, why didn't you just start on the tire you switched onto? So I don't think anyone's going to be going in, but who knows? We have a couple penalties already being dished out. That will also be a problem tonight, with a 5-second to Hazy and also Krustier T potentially for some contact there. Now, will anyone go into the pit lane for damage repair? Looks like not. The F2 cars have at least proven to be a little bit more durable, as now we have got going once again. So, Zakario is still in the lead. Looks like Sweet Teej is now into P2, which is a very strong position, with JJ behind him into P3. And JJ's being pressured now by Hazy, the fellow Brit. 2 Brits battling here around Australia. How will they sort themselves out through turn 5? Hazy is definitely looking to get by. Having to really lift off there, with Bella right behind him. But yeah, I would love to see that incident at the start again. That was very, very juicy. I think 3 or 4 cars involved, with some big names in there, including Zavgab, who is now right behind Kevwood. Mr. Racecore is going to be the car in the front, green and white. Oh, and we had a little brush on the wall there, it sounded like, but no moves for now into the Fascia Chicane. Does Zav get the better run into, I think it's turn 13? The recently updated turn, making it a little bit sharper. Will Zav dive down the inside? Yes, he will. He's got to avoid the curb there, some touching side to side. And the 2 drivers remain stationary in the same positions, with a brief moment where Zav's tire did touch Kevwood's side pod there. But everything is okay for now. Zakario setting the fastest lap, still in the lead. And he is actually maintaining a similar gap, if not maybe slightly extending it over Sweet Teej, so he's looking okay for now. His biggest kind of competition, I think, comes in the form of Hazy or Chenzo, perhaps. So if Hazy can get by JJ, maybe we can see some challenge for that lead position. But right now, the top 3 look pretty set. So we're going to keep an eye on the lower down positions. We had a position change here between Kaz and Krustier T coming out of turn 2. And yeah, Krusty and Hazy do have those 5-second penalties, so they can get those off, but that will require a pit stop to do that. And now Zavgab is still behind Kevwood, who is now battling Isasko. And Isasko, will Isasko cede the position to Zav? Looks like he might have done that with Kevwood, as now we have the DRS being opened. And Isasko is now behind the 2 drivers. And we see Bella pressuring Chenzo now, heading towards turn 13. What will Bella do here? Looks like he's just going to remain stationary. Tough corner to send sometimes. And Rabbi has really closed up in that kind of awkwardness there. Let's see if Rami can remain patient, as now we see Zav finally getting the move done on Kevwood. They remain side by side into Sector 3, but Zav should have the position done here. A little bit of a rear end loss, but overall, he will get that position done and move up, recovering from that rough start. And now Zav is going to be catching up to Flip Flop Fish, someone else who's looking to have a good race of his own after a pretty tough one last week. Let's see how the pace compares between the 2 drivers. Zav has lots of experience now in the F2 cars. Flip Flop is kind of intermediately here. He's not here very often, so Zav definitely has more time in the car than Flip Flop does. And there is also a tire difference to discuss here as well, with Zav on the super softs and Flip Flop on the mediums. So Zav should have the pace for now, but Flip Flop might be able to hang with him. We did see 3 second being handed out by, to Kevin E90. And that will be a big, big problem. That'll really separate the drivers tonight. Before I get into that, though, let's see what Zav and Flip-Flop do into the fast chicane. Zav has the overspeed. Looking to give Flip-Flop perhaps a bump draft there. Put him offline, maybe, into the fast chicane. Let's see what happens now. This will be where Zav wants to make his move. Will he be a little bit more aggressive? And the closing speed isn't that great considering Zav has his DRS open. So Flip-Flop perhaps a little bit slippery, perhaps a little bit difficult to get by. We see Zav tentatively going to the inside there, but nothing happening yet. And T-Bone is now right in the thick of it with the Rami, Bella, and Chenzo train, with Hazy being the conductor of the train. Any movements into turn 1? Not really. Some touches in the back, which cascades forward from T-Bone's car through Rami into Bella's car. Luckily, everyone's okay. Bella did have a moment there, and he did lose some traction on the curb, potentially. And Zav and Rami are now by. Or sorry, not Zav. T-Bone and Rami are now by. Zav and Flip-Flop, speaking of Zav, are battling now into turn 3 and 4 with Flip-Flop holding the outside line, which will turn to the inside for the dangerous right-hander of 5. And they do come together on the apex there, with Zav backing out, potentially being ordered to do so by race control. And we have a car around up there. Who is that? That was Bella having a moment out of turn 6. Lucky he's still going. We did see Krusty retire, but looks like no cautions are out, or no full course cautions are out, I should say. Zav and Flip-Flop are still going neck and neck here into the fast chicane. Who will blink first? Looks like it'll be neither of them. They will maintain the side-by-side into the fast chicane. Very nice racing we're watching here with Zav now picking up the DRS. Will Flip-Flop have the speed to respond? I think he will. And he is going down the inside. This is an awesome race between the two for P8 and 9, the last position, the last points on offer. And a big slide there from Zav. Holy moly, he was on the curb a little bit too much there. Oh my goodness, he could have been out if he was not careful. But now he has gotten by Flip-Flop. So can Flip-Flop stay with him? Let's see. I did see the rear end squirm around a little bit there through the final turn. So perhaps that lower wing setup is coming now to bite Flip-Flop a little bit. But Zav looks like he has the measure on him. Looks like he has the pace, and he will be looking to pull away. With another battle here between Kevwood and Bella, with Kevwood being on the worst end of some contact, I imagine, or some mistake of some sort. He was in the gravel into turn 1, and now he has lost further positions down to P15. So looks like the re-emergence of Kevwood is put on ice for now. Anyway, I was trying to say this earlier before we got into all that action. Penalties are going to be huge here. You have a risk of getting them on most of the corners. Turns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We saw a penalty right there, I'm sure, for Dastardly. Turn 6 here as well, you can get one. You could get one going through the fast chicane, which is very easy to do. You could also get one in the 3rd sector, as we see a good battle here between Dastardly and Kaz. Sorry. But yeah, penalties will be a big sticking point tonight. If you can keep it clean, you can potentially do yourself a lot of favors. Anyway, we have a very close battle now between the 3 quick guys, Hazy, Rami, and Chenzo. With Chenzo getting by both of them, and Rami also getting by Hazy as well. These drivers, as far as I'm aware, are all on the same tires, so this is purely their pace being compared in front of us. And Hazy does have the 5-second penalty hanging over his head. The clouds in the background have gotten a little thicker. I'm just not sure if it's quite dramatic enough to spell some rainfall, but that would be awesome to see. We'll see if that happens. But Rami is just too far back from Chenzo for now. Those two did have the moment last race going into Cops, where we did see Chenzo hitting the back of Rami in the straight with a lot of movement. So hopefully we'll calm it down a little bit in the straight next time if we have a battle like that, because that was unfortunate. Anyway, off camera we see T-Bone sneaking down the inside very nicely of Hazy Ozzy through turn 5 there. Very unorthodox spot for a move. We did see leader DNF there, or retire, but again, no cautions are out, so we're going to continue the green flag action. And to be honest, I don't want it to stop. Look at this. We got Hazy and T-Bone fighting now. T-Bone trying to make that move stick that he pulled off earlier, which was totally out of nowhere. But very, very nicely done. And now we're going to be kind of caught in this DRS train scenario where you have the 3 drivers behind Chenzo all having DRS, so none of them really having an advantage over the other. And Chenzo is doing really well adapting to these F2 cars. He's really gotten a hang of it quickly, much better than I have. That's for sure. It's part of the reason why I'm talking right now and I'm not racing. Yeah, Chenzo's looking really good to finish off in P4. The top 3 from the start are the exact same, with we see JJ getting a penalty there, which will now compromise his chances against Chenzo, with Chenzo also having the fresher tires now. But Zaccario still in the lead, with Sweetige now pulling up closer to him. Their gap was 2 seconds last time I checked, which was a while ago. But Sweetige has done the work to catch up, and now he will be getting that DRS benefit. And this will be a sticky kind of battle, because these are 2 drivers that will not want to part with this position by any means necessary. These are not positions they are in very, very often, so I'm going to see a good attack here, hopefully from Tej, and a good defense from Zaccario. We did see, speaking of the penalties, Zavgav getting his penalty, so we are still now seeing that penalty marker more and more prevalent throughout our list of drivers tonight. Flip-Flop Fish is behind Isasco with a 1.3 second gap, as now we have T-Bone and Rami doing battle into turn 13, with T-Bone closing on Chenzo in that exchange. So that really puts Chenzo under pressure. I think all of these drivers are pretty close on pace right now. So anyone potentially could have a shot here. Just depends on what mistakes are made. And speaking of the weather I mentioned earlier, I see some rain now gracing the track with 3 laps left to complete. That is interesting. Looks like the rain is very small, very minor for now. But of course, looks can be deceiving sometimes. With only 3 laps though, what will the drivers do? We have people pitting now immediately, perhaps just copying what happened last time in Britain. And again, we have no inner tires on the F2 cars, and we see Hazy as well serving his 5-second penalty. No inner tires, so wet tires are what's going to be used, and that will make the comparison between a dry runner and a wet runner a little bit more interesting. Normally the inner tire would definitely take over at this stage, but the drivers are feeling a difference. Look at how many have piled into the pits, so potentially that rain is worse than it looks. How will the drivers in front fare? You know, will Zaccario and Tej potentially stay out? Potentially they may have lost ground already on those who have pitted behind them. I'm not quite sure. That really puts a wrench into things. And we did see T-Bone as well getting by Chenzo. I'm sorry guys, I'm missing a lot of the moves tonight. But T-Bone did get by Chenzo, and that is crucial because that is right when the rain came out. And that'll remove the DRS assistance for Chenzo. So that was great timing from T-Bone there. But what'll happen now? Will the drivers stay out with, 3 complete laps, 10, 11, and 12, still yet to be done? That's a very, very long distance on the wrong tires. What'll happen here? The top 2 stay out, the top 3 stay out as well. JJ stays out. T-Bone will be the first of them to go in. I think you will see T-Bone benefit from that, but he did make contact into the pit lane barrier. Hopefully his car is okay. But the top 5 have stayed out. What will Isasco do? He's kind of caught in no man's land here, but I think, yeah, that is the best call for him. He needs to go in. He needs to also avoid hitting the wall there. That was close. And Flip-Flop has stayed out as well. So we definitely have a change in opinion here of what is the fastest strategy. With Sweetige battling Zaccario, and Zaccario picking up a penalty. So the 2 drivers are in the wet conditions on the dry tires, struggling, but they are both in the same position. Oh, and it's getting tougher out there for them. You can see the rear end wiggling for Zaccario, but he is staying with Sweetige, so this is still wide open. Rami now picks up a 3-second penalty. That will really hurt his chances. That's also something else in Sweetige's favor. He has no penalties. So that should be his priority. No penalties, keep it on track, and he might be able to squeak home. Let's see how the other drivers compare, particularly Flip-Flop and T-Bone. Those are 2 drivers who are on different tires, if I remember, so we'll see if T-Bone can eat into that gap and how quickly he can do that. that'll kind of give us an indication of perhaps the drivers in the front here, their chances of pulling this off. As now I think it's too late. You know, they're committed to staying on these tires at this point. With Zav getting by Kaz there into P8, back into the last point-paying position. We did see T-Bone, since the time I've talked, pull in a second gap onto Zavgav, onto Flip Flop, and we did see Sweet Cheese finally going in there. Perhaps the conditions are just too much to handle, but unfortunately, that decision was just too late, and you are going to see him fall back here with Rami getting in front, who is still on the dries anyway, so actually I take that back. But Chenzo has also joined them on the dry tires as well, so yeah, I think T-Bone's in a good position here. He is gaining a lot of time on Flip Flop, you know, 4 or 5 seconds gained in 1 lap on Flip Flop Fish. Not a lot of people can say they've done that, so definitely you need to be on the wet tires from what I've seen. And this will leave Flip Flop very vulnerable to Sweetige and the drivers behind. So we'll see how much he can defend. But now we have really 2 full laps for the drivers to catch up to the people in the front of the dries. And you know, if they have a moment like we saw Flip Flop there, they could not make it to the end altogether. That's still very possible. It's very dangerous. We do see Flip Flop defending his position, having to brake much earlier than Sweetige and getting hit from behind. That does happen when there's people on dries sometimes. The person wet kind of forgets that and they brake a little bit too late. And Flip Flop was bumped over there. But to be honest, I'm not going to go too crazy on Sweetige about that one. It's difference in tire, that kind of thing happens. Anyway, he is 19 seconds behind the cars in front. What kind of gaps can he pull on them? With 1 lap left to go, they might have just done enough, but remember, they have those penalties, which I believe are 3 seconds. So that might be the difference. It could be really close here. It's going to be completely up to Sweetige and what kind of lap he can put together. No pressure, my friend, but you got to deliver here. And now we see Zav getting by Flip Flop as well, with Flip Flop still on the dry tires, so clearly that didn't work out. And Sweetige has gained 1.5 seconds since I cut away from him, so that's looking okay. He's really going to make most of his time up in the corners. And then the residual, you know, better speed he gets for his exits will also translate to gaining time on the straights as well. But most of it will be through the actual turn itself. As now we see Rami and Sicario not doing each other favors here. If they battle too much, that's going to help Sweetige out a lot with penalties over their head as well. Obviously, they have no obligation to help each other out, but it's one of those situations where maybe they'd be better off if they didn't engage. But anyway, Sweetige is clawing the time back. Come on, Siege, you got this. 11 seconds, you gained 7 in just about half a lap there. With more turns left to go. I think it's going to come down to those penalties, guys. Holy crap, this could be really close. And Sicario and Rami are fighting again. That's not going to help them. They lost, I think, they're going to lose a couple seconds out of that most likely. How close can Sweetige get? This is really nail-biting stuff. I'm at the edge of my seat here, seeing if he can pull it off. He is running out of corners, though. It's going to be very close. Let's see how much time he gains through the 1 turn. Oh, he does go a little deep onto the curb there. That might have been enough to put him out of the running. Oh man, that was so tough to judge. Obviously he's pushing very hard, but that mistake didn't help for sure. He is still gaining time. Will it be enough? Oh my god, I don't know. It's so close right now. He is 2.2 seconds away from making those penalties count. But I don't think he had enough pace there in the end, with 1.8 seconds being the difference between him and Sicario officially on the track. So great try, Tej. That was really close. Just a little bit earlier, maybe that pit stop a lap earlier would have been the difference there. Anyway, I was fixated on Tej for a while there. We had Chenzo finishing in P4 with T-Bone having a good race behind him in P5, JJ in P6. Zav is in P7 after that opening incident, with Isasco grabbing the last points for the sprint race right now. And Hazy getting some penalty along the way, which really undid his progress. I don't know exactly what that was for. But man, what a finish that was. That was really close. Thank you for providing that entertainment, gentlemen. Bar fight is right, absolutely. And we got another one coming up right away before we can even take a break. Let's see here. So, continuing on the order, we had Kevin E90 in P10 with Flip Flop in P11, Kev Wood in P12, Kaz in P13. Dastardly did move up from where he was, so solid job, Dastard. I think he wasn't last when I checked on him, so he did battle back. Very nicely done to P14. With Solrak in P15, I think that might have been Krusty and Kaz afterwards. I could be wrong though. But again, we should just be seeing the top 8 getting points here. T-Bone did get to pick up the driver of the day. I would say that's pretty well deserved. No one really making too much of a charge in the fields. Anyway, we see the podium now with Rami taking another win, who is really racking them up. And that actually will put him now, presently in this moment, in the lead of the driver's standings, because Hazy was, I believe, 7 points ahead. Rami did just pick up 8 there, and Hazy didn't get any because he was in P9. So, yeah, potentially a 1 to 2 point battle for the top spot going into this next race here with only a handful of races left. That is something for us to keep an eye on, of course. And then, yeah, again, Sweet Tea's just really, really good push there. I think it was just a strategy that was a little bit late, which is hard sometimes, obviously. And actually, I'll take back what I said. Hazy did pick up the pole, which I did point out at the start of the broadcast. So he picks up 2 points for that. So that will... Oh, but I was also wrong because... See, this is what I don't mean. I just did the last race and it was 8 people and now it's 9. So I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure we had 21 racers last time as well. Anyway, Rami getting 10 points to Hazy's 2. That'll put Rami, yes, back in the lead of the Drivers' Championship. He is currently, according to my math, 1 point ahead of Hazy as we stand right now. So lots left to decide there. Anyway, let's get ready for the feature race now, where we will be seeing a pit stop, some more strategy, potentially a return of another rainstorm to put some wrenches into the production, shall we say. And it looks like we got a message from Rasta there. I can't quite see the whole thing. He's mentioning some bad luck. No time for commercial breaks, my friend T-Bone. I got to get right back into the action here. Oh, actually, you sent that earlier. My bad. Let's keep going now into the feature race. And we will now see the original results we had upholding. So that will be, I believe, Hazy in pole position with Rami behind him. Should be, I think, Chenzo and Zav, if I remember correctly. But obviously we'll find out in a moment's time here. And judging out of the corner of my screen that I can see there, it is now dry again. So we'll see if any more clouds and rain can spice up the action a little bit. Anyway, we're getting ready now for the formation lap to begin. Some last minute setup changes going on, I'm sure. And you do share your tires throughout this event. So whatever tires you used in the sprint race will not be available to you to use anymore for this race. So we'll see how things get going here. How does the race look from a tire standpoint? Looks like most people are starting on the super soft tire with potentially a move to mediums throughout that stint, maybe halfway through or perhaps slightly before. But it looks like we have Hazy on pole again and Chenzo in P2. My bad, I got that mixed up with Rami right behind them. Zavgav in P4. All of those drivers on the same exact tires. Bella is the first on a different strategy in P5. He will probably fall back a little bit, but maybe he can stay close enough to fight back at the end. Sweet Teej is in P6 with E90 right behind him on the super softs as well. Kaz, Sicario, and Rasta round out your top 10 all on the super softs. Isasco and Leader are the only other drivers on the medium tires, with Isasco in P11, Krusty in P12, Kevwood in P13, JJ 14th, Skeeta Bike in 15th, Solrak in 16th, Leader as mentioned before in 17th, with Dastardly behind him. Tilmo looks like he is still here. And this is what I mean, guys, okay? I'm going to say something really quickly. Tilmo, you're a good driver, but don't do this kind of stuff, man. You come in here, you ask for a seat, and you leave before the race even starts. Come on. If you're going to come race, race. That's all I got to say. Anyway, T-Bone is behind the ghosted Tilmo, who's wasting her time. And Flip Flop is going backwards. And I don't know how Quince Tiago got in here. He snuck into P22. I swear I didn't see him in the last race, but he is now here as well. So there we go. We have debunked it. Looks like 22 racers are in here, as well as me, the commentator. So there we go. We now know we can do that in the future. 22 racers and a commentator. We actually didn't know that was the case, but now we do. Anyway, this is like the most disjointed formation lap ever. With Hazy getting so far ahead of the rest of the grid. Everyone's still going through turn 13 now. And Hazy will be sitting here for a little bit. We see Flip Flop still going backwards. I think he's trying to do the whole lap backwards, which is pretty commendable. We have a couple DSQs being given out here. What was that? There might be some glitches going on. We'll see. I did see Zav disqualified from the qualifying session, but yet his car moved. That was really weird. That's not going to affect their race. That's just going to affect their positioning of their car in the starting box. And actually, that makes sense. I was watching Bella. Sorry, it wasn't Zav who I was watching. That's why that makes sense. Anyway, let's get ready for the race now with our terrible camera angle, of course. So we will go on board with Sweetige again, as now we get set for the 5 red lights for the feature race. As we hear the revs building, the crowd is ready, we are ready, let's get this going. We are off for the feature race for the Flower Cup in Australia. Immediately we have Chenzo with a good start, holding Rami off into P3 as it was, with the two making contact on the apex. Rami was off the track there. Potentially some more room could have been given, but either way they are making it through, with Zavgav now picking up the pieces, trying to make a move stick in between Chenzo and Rami, and he has done that. Rasta has gained and also lost positions off the lap here, off the starting. Let's open that up so I can quickly see that. There it is. So T-Bone already up 10 positions. I don't know how he does that. That's really good. But yeah, we did see Bella lose 4 positions, Rami lose 4 as well, and Hazy and Chenzo maintains their current spots, with Hazy already pulling a gap north of the second over Chenzo. Chenzo needs to bridge that gap immediately, or else he's not going to have a chance to come back. As now we see Kevin E90 and Sweetige battling into the fast chicane, with the drivers keeping it clean there in a very dangerous high-speed part of the track. So that was awesome to see. Anyway, let's get rid of this. We do have a driver in the back, Quince Tiago, getting off to a bad start there, perhaps having a mistake or something happened to him. With a battle here between JJ, Sasko, and Flip Flop and Skeeta Bike as well. Flip Flop is kind of caught in the middle here in the sardine can between the 3 drivers. He will now go around the outside of Isasko, which he does successfully. And he's now behind JJ. It's P14. But his car did have a moment there out of the final turn. That's probably the hardest turn on the track. And Kaz did sneak by Bella there into turn 1, perhaps with a better exit out of that final corner. Anyway, let's move back to the top positions. The usual suspects, Rami, Chenzo, Hazy, and Zav, now back into the top 4. With a little bit of movement there on Chenzo's part. He is losing time, perhaps trying to push beyond the limit of his car to get back into Hazy's DRS zone of 1 second, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. He has lost some time. Looks like he is a little bit faster in the straight, but not much. And with Zav and Rami pressuring him, he's going to find it hard to hit the same lines that Hazy can when he's all alone in the front. But let's see here. Flip Flop already picks up the time penalty. Looks like he's having a torrid race. He's now down in P21. Perhaps was not happy with the situation we tuned into briefly there. Hey, Flip Flop, if you want to come in the booth, the offer's still open. Anyway, we did see T-Bone making a battle here with Rasta, who, like I mentioned in the last broadcast, Rasta is still new to his steering wheel, so he's still getting his feet wet there. But overall, we got a couple packs to keep an eye on, particularly the positions for P4, P3, and P2. P6 through 10, I guess you can say. And about 2 more trains after that. So lots of action to keep an eye on. Apologies if I'm missing some action out there. It's very hard to catch all of it sometimes with everything changing. And we did see Sicario run wide there through turn 4, which is another problematic corner like I mentioned earlier. So the penalties will be more of an issue as we see Flip Flop retiring. Perhaps he took up my offer there. He has brought out the virtual safety car because of that. Looks like he crashed just out of turn 2, which, if you ask me, was on purpose. But we will move past that. Again, another virtual, same thing as the previous race. Not really going to change the race too much. Potentially you have an opportunity to put those medium tires on, but I think it's going to be largely over by the time these drivers get to the pits. Let me just check my phone really quick just to make sure. Okay. Just want to make sure Flip Flop wasn't waiting on me or something. Anyway, we're still under VSC, but now we have the VSC ending. No, we don't. We have just drivers picking up drive-through penalties with now the VSC ending. Oh my goodness, that was confusing. Krusty getting the drive-through, not adhering to the delta, which is hard to do sometimes. Anyway, we have another 5-second now being given to Kevwood for ignoring yellow flag. I think that's given for passing someone under the yellow flag, most likely. Here we see Zav now on the inside of Chenzo into turn 1. And Zav had to go a little bit over the curb there, so he was compromised. He will have a second bite of the apple, though, into turn 3 now. Oh, he was on the grass there. That will affect his run. And looks like the move is not ready at this moment. But those two are going to be very close this entire race. We did see Kaz move by Rasta, because Rasta did have a moment there coming out of turn 2, I believe that is. Yeah, just coming down the straight to turn 3. Unfortunate for Rasta. Flip Flop has left the session, so yeah, maybe he's not in the mood for commentary. Anyway, Zav and Chenzo still neck and neck with Rami behind them. Let's see if Rami can kind of interject into this battle. You will likely see Chenzo and Zav swapping a little bit until Rami can get his nose in there. Sasko is the next driver to pick up a penalty as well. And I was trying to say this earlier, but I probably got off track. The penalties will be more of an issue in this feature race because now you have more laps to do, so therefore more chances to be penalized and to make mistakes, so you really have to be careful now. The sprint race was a little bit of a warm-up, but already we are 4 laps in, and I am seeing back there behind that scaffolding, there is some angry looking clouds out there with potentially some more moisture inside of them. We'll see if they can give us some more rain again. And also Sicario maintaining the fight from the previous race with Sweet Teej right behind him. Those two, remember, were very closely locked in for the battle for the lead for most of that race. Oh, Rami is very close to Zav's rear end there. He does hit Zav and actually bumps him wide. That would be considered a bump and run in my books, folks. He did hit Zav in the back and then move by him. I didn't see the whole move there, but that wasn't really the cleanest overtake. We do see, looks like Rami acknowledging his mistake there and letting Zav by. That is the admirable thing to do. So thank you, Rami, for doing that. Obviously, the damage is done, but at least you recognize that and you made that decision. Oh my goodness, we are back in the same position. The rain is back again. Here on lap 5 now with a lot more laps to complete, so I don't think it's an option to stay on the dries anymore. And this is potentially why you saw a lot of drivers on the Super Softs, as now we see Rami and Sweet Teej battling out of the fast chicane into turn 13. The two will remain neck and neck with Ramy holding the inside line. A little bit of contact there, but nothing to be concerned about. And Zaccario slips his car, or sorry, Sweet Tige. No, what am I saying? T-Bone slips his car in the middle of Sweet Tige and Ramy, and then he immediately tries to fight Ramy on the outside there with the two coming together. Will anyone come into the pit lane yet? Not quite. Anyway, from what I saw, but it looks like Zav and E90 have already decided to take that decision and come in for the wet tires with Kaz and Bella joining them. That was a very dramatic change in the last race, so potentially it could be a similar situation. We'll see how those gaps compare when they do come out. Kevin E90 will be your highest up driver on the wet tires, and we'll compare him directly with the pace of Solrak, most likely, just to see how those two drivers compare. This is going to be the race hanging in the balance. Was that too early? Is it too late to put them on? We will see. It can change quickly. We have a yellow flag in Sector 1. I think that was Isasco. Nope. Maybe someone else being involved there. Looks like E90 isn't really pulling any gaps on Solrak, so if you are on the dry tires, they are still working, but you can see the water accumulating. I think all this has really done is kind of bought them an extra lap, because I don't see it staying dry for much longer. It's getting much worse, but we see E90 having a huge moment off of the curb. Looks like his tires are screaming for temperature right now, so I think it was just a little bit too early to put them on. But it's one of those situations, you know, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Perhaps it was too late now to put them on lap 6. We'll see. It really depends on where you were in the grid, you know, how far down the lap you were, how wet it was when you made that decision. And now we see everyone responding. So yeah, the track did definitely change in that lap for sure. Sweet Tige won't be staying out this time. So how will Kevin E90 fare from that? Now, he did eventually gain some time on Solrak, but he did have that moment. Potentially his tires are in a little bit of pain right now, and we are seeing the top drivers still come out ahead. So it looks like Hazy and Chenzo have made the correct calls here, with Zav also benefiting. So honestly, I don't think there was a right or wrong answer. It just depended on entirely what you were comfortable with. And we did see Zav recover from that moment with Ramy earlier, and is now into P3 with a 3-second penalty over his name, I believe. And T-Bone now is going to be behind him. E90 is battling T-Bone at this very moment, with E90 making the move on the inside through turn 3, now into 4, with T-Bone now taking the inside line. I think I still hear him there beside him. Leader Liebeg did retire. Looks like T-Bone has backed out, but he's going to come back for another attack here into turn 6, with a 3-second given to Kaz as well. A tough race for Leader. 2 DNFs. Perhaps he was trying some gutsy strategy. Didn't work out for him. Who knows? But T-Bone has successfully repassed Kevin E90. Now, what will Kevin E90 do into the pass chicane? Probably not a good idea to fight here, but you want to look for the exit out of here, which is crucial. E90 swings a lot wider than T-Bone and kind of washes away in the understeer there, whereas T-Bone, his car looked hooked up, and he just kept his line and gained some time there. So I think T-Bone might have the stronger, more applicable setup for these conditions right now. But right now we are starting to see some gaps emerge. Looks like the rain has given Chenzo a second chance to get back with Hazy. We see Bella and Zaccario battling, with Zaccario being on the outside, but now switching it back. Going through the last turn. Very difficult in the wet weather, but looks like the drivers keep it cool. And oh no, I think Chenzo had a big moment there. He was all over the back of Hazy, but now he was behind Zavgav, losing 9 seconds. So I think he did have a moment, probably out of the last corner if I had to guess. Zav has the penalty though, so Chenzo technically still is ahead on track according to the penalty right now. E90 is falling back from T-Bone, so yeah, I think T-Bone is better prepared for these conditions with his setup, potentially with his experience with the F2 cars as well. He is now pulling out a lot of time on E90 there. Crustier gets by Kevwood because Kevwood is in the pits. Looks like he has decided to put on a new set of wet tires. I think he already had them on already. Perhaps some wing damage leading him there. And we will see Dastardly move by Kevwood into P16. Tiago is actually now close to the nameless driver, who I will not refer to because he's taking cars and leaving them immediately. Anyway, Chenzo and Zav are still very close together. You can see Zav sliding around there. The track has definitely worsened. It's now very much teetering on, I would say, completely full wet or heavy wet. It's getting very, very close. So yeah, a couple battles to keep an eye on, but the rain is now making it harder to send those, dives and those moves with no DRS and, longer, more pronounced braking zones. So perhaps we will see a little bit less action here, but we see Rami now on the attack of Kevin E90. Let's see if he can make this a little bit cleaner than the last battle he had through here with Zav. Who knows what led to that situation, but you never want to see a driver getting bumped in the back and then passed. It's usually not a good sign. Anyway, I'm sure it was accidental. I'm sure it was not purposeful or anything, but Rami is now pressuring Kevin E90. I say that, though, Chenzo has moved past Zavgab, so he's not settling for the penalty. He has gotten by there with the straight line speed. I did think Chenzo had a little bit more straight line speed than perhaps some of the other drivers, so that may have benefited him there. But Rami is still behind E90, who is still behind T-Bone, and T-Bone is looking to perhaps stay in this P4 position. He's kind of staying around 3.8, 3.7 seconds away from Zav and crew, but Hazy is just running away with this one. I used to think this was his home race, but it's actually not. He's actually from Britain, folks. He's not an Aussie like I thought he was. But he's doing well here. Just got to keep the car on track with, I guess, 8 more laps now to complete. We are now past halfway. The race has flown by as always, as they always do, with Rami and E90 getting very, very close to the wall there. E90 definitely showing him where he wants his car to go. What will Rami do through the turns 1 and 2 here into turn 3? He does have the slipstream. I sense a move is on the cards around the outside potentially. E90 using the space on the inside to remain ahead. And Rami with an unsuccessful switchback initially, but he is now alongside E90 on the outside though into turn 5, which is not really where you want to be. E90's doing a very good job to place his car in the right spots, but Rami definitely has the advantage here. Let's see, can Rami get him on the straight into the fast chicane? Will the slipstream be enough? He's on the grass there. Oh, he had to lift there to avoid hitting the wall. I think that might just be enough breathing room for E90 to look forward into the next straight, potentially to be under threat. Oh, and he's right behind E90 now. And E90 has a huge moment, and he hits the wall out of the fast chicane. He's spinning all over the track. He lost his wing there as well. That was a big crash. Rami bringing the pressure. And E90 now has fallen to P10 with some damage likely to repair. Looks like no safety car came out, though, because of that. So we're going to continue racing. But damn, that has gotten rid of the battle I was watching. Now we have the 2 closest cars on track being Isasko and Solrak, and also Rasta and Isasko. This kind of train right here, I guess, with Zav pitting, potentially due to tire wear there. I'm not sure, again, how that is looking. I can't really see that information. perhaps learning from that Britain sprint race, because as far as I'm aware, his penalty could not be removed. So, you know, he only has the tires to gain from going in. So potentially that is one more thing Hazy has to figure out. Will Hazy stay out, or will he go in with the race win hanging in the balance? It's always tough being the leader. You know, you have no one really to base your decision off of, and you have so much to lose. There's a lot of pressure, especially if you haven't, you know, dealt with that pressure before, or you're not there very often. I know I've made so many bad calls myself over the years, just being the guinea pig in the front, not knowing what anyone else is really doing. So it's going to be interesting. You know, Hazy has a lot to lose by pitting, but it just depends how bad was that tire wear. Will Zav, you know, be on the cutting edge of that? Will he gain some positions back, as we see him almost lose the car there due to having the fresh tires? Will people, you know, stay out and be stubborn like that and try and nurse these home? I mean, we are past halfway now, and we did put those tires on, if I remember, I want to say laps 6 or 7. So if Zav's pitting now, that tells me the wear is pretty substantial. But it might be in the realms of being able to bring it home. One of the situations we're not sure how it's going to play out, so that's why we're here, is to see exactly what does happen. We see Zaccario now pitting for the second time onto another set of the wets. Most likely, I still see rain falling, so I don't see us going back to the dry tires. But who knows? Anything is possible. Let's see if Zav can claw in some time here on Kaz on the older tires. This will kind of give us an indication of his trajectory. And also, he did have the penalty over his head, so maybe he just wanted to be on the aggressive side and do some fighting and attacking rather than defending. We did see JJ go a little bit deep there into turn 1 with Zaccario coming out of the pits and witnessing that. Queen Thiago picks up a penalty with Isasco and Solrak getting into a collision, I'm sure, into turn 1. Will there be any retaliation here? Oh, actually, that's not Isasco, so probably not. Oh, a bump in the back, though, by Bella. He's trying the bump and run. We're watching it here. Oh, he's on the outside, but we have a virtual safety car just at the wrong moment, and Solrak was ahead right when that was called, so that helps Solrak out, gives him a free breather. We had Kevin E90 speeding into the pit lane, so now potentially that really will help out Hazy. Looks like E90 has decided to retire as well, but that will help out Hazy, because that'll make the decision very easy for him. Because now he has a delta to protect him, and he can make that pit stop happen, and he can respond to the others without losing his P1. So that was, I think, honestly the best possible thing for Hazy. You know, if he had a safety car, potentially he'd be under some pressure, but the virtual just gives him a gap to make that risk-free choice. And that really has helped him out. T-Bone, speaking of risk, has stayed out ahead of Chenzo, who is now just getting to the end of the pit lane. And we did have a drive-through being given out to Zaccario as well for speeding under the VSC. So Zaccario's race is pretty much over. Let's just quickly check if anyone else got those. Zaccario and T-Bone got a drive-through. No, T-Bone. Oh, the P2 is out the window, folks. Oh, man. Perhaps he was just a little bit focused on potentially what lied ahead and not what was happening in the present. That really sucks, because now he's going to be forced to go into the pit lane and not even get fresh tires out of the whole thing, potentially dropping him to, I want to estimate, P7 or 8, if my math is correct. That really sucks for T-Bone. I'm gutted for T-Bone. Had a great decision there, I think, to stay out. I think that was definitely worth it, with, you know, potentially a 10-second gap at one point to Chenzo with only 4 laps. But drive-throughs are not something to play around with. Rami gets a 3-second penalty. He is fighting. Who was that? Was that Zav? Perhaps a lapped car getting in the way there. Not sure who that was. Anyway, no really close battles that I can see according to our timesheet here. We're now, I think, going to be looking at penalties and gaps a little bit more closely as we get towards the last quarter of this race. And we would now see T-Bone serving the drive-through a shame. Oh man, that sucks. That was looking really, really good. But now you will see Chenzo, Kaz, Zav, Rami, I'm sure, Sweet Tej as well, move by. Queen Thiago gets another penalty. I think that brings him up to 6 now. We have Dashley retiring from the session. That can bring out a safety car sometimes. It looks like he has decided to do that in the pit lane. So thank you, Dashley. You know, something I do. I'll get back to that in a second. T-Bone and Rami making contact. That was clearly Rami's, fault there. He needs to make sure T-Bone has a clear way to get out of the pit lane. And that has brought Rami down even further to P7 now. So I was wrong. Perhaps T-Bone wasn't in as bad shape as I previously thought. Those gaps are helping him out. I don't even remember what I was going to say now. Oh yeah, the safety cars. Yeah, obviously excitement is cool. We like having safety cars, but it gets to a point when guys start retiring just for the fun of it that it gets a little bit artificial and kind of ruins the racing a little bit. So thank you, Dasted, for doing that the correct way, I would say. You can see now the rain is just bucketing down. It's gotten really, really bad. So if there were to be an inter and full wet tire to be used, we'd definitely now be on the full wets. However, in F2, we don't have the intermediate. Instead, we have racing, hard racing into the fast chicane between Rami and Sweet Tej, with Rami looking to make back for that brief moment there with T-Bone, which I believe was on Rami's part there to make sure T-Bone could get out of that pit lane safely, as T-Bone was clearly ahead. Speaking of T-Bone, they both go off, him and Sweet Tej into the gravel, perhaps. Sweet Tej following T-Bone into that mistake, and now Rami is looking to get the move done on the outside. T-Bone squeezing, pushing Rami to the outside there, making him rethink the move. Try again, sir. How will this shape out now into the turn 1? As now we head into the third last lap, sorry, for the drivers. With a big gap in front still, with Hazy in front of Chenzo. But what will Rami do now? He will have to make the move happen and also make a gap between him and T-Bone to get this position to stick. And he did have a little bit of contact in the rear end on T-Bone, and looks like T-Bone has done enough to stay ahead for now. Hopefully he's not too deep there. Rami does cut back on the inside. And Rami does get by with a little bit of a late break on T-Bone's part. T-Bone's now got to remain focused on keeping that gap under 3 seconds, which will actually be hard to do. Rami is very, very talented with these F2 cars for whatever reason. It's going to be really a test for T-Bone here. I think it's going to be a guy to keep an eye on. Hopefully Sweet Tej can kind of see the bigger picture here and realize that him and T-Bone are on the same team right now in comparison to Rami. You know, if he decides to stick his nose and make things difficult for T-Bone, they are both going to lose the spot. So perhaps some cooperation is happening right now on the chat. The drivers are on an open chat throughout the race, but we did see T-Bone picking up the 3-second penalty there. So now they are all on equal playing fields, with Rami, T-Bone having 3 seconds, and T-Bone repeats the mistake into 13, just breaking a little bit too late there, with Sweet Tej now making the move, who is close enough to stay within the penalty range of Rami, which is 3 seconds. He's just got to have a really solid last lap. You know, staying within a second of Rami for this last lap would be an achievement. Let's see if he can do it. But in the front, we got gaps for days. With Kaz now right behind Zav, and Kaz is definitely emerging as a quiet little star in this league. You know, he might not always have the qualifying pace, but he definitely makes good calls, and he finds himself rocketing up through the order most of the time, into like a P4, P5, P6 kind of range. So I'm liking what I'm seeing, my friend. Keep it up. And like I said, it'd be a tough task for Sweet Tej. What I say, he's already out of that 1 second gap. So I think Rami is just a little bit too fast for Tej at the moment. And to be honest, if I was Sweet Tej in that position, I probably would be in a similar predicament, because Rami definitely has a handle on these cars. Rasta now is battling JJ through turn 5. This could be sketchy. Oh, and the cars do make contact with both of them slowing down, but Rasta is still alive. He does lose a spot to Bella with Tomo's annoying glitch car in the way. Thank you again, Tomo. But in the front, I'm going to pull an F1 and watch the leader for the last half of the race. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. It's going to remain stationary with Hazy taking the win most likely, unless he has a huge blow up here. But Hazy will be your winner, most likely taking the win here. Oh, I apologize. Looks like it wasn't the last lap quite yet. Now it's the last lap. So Hazy has 1 lap left to go. He's just got to bring it home and not crash, essentially, and he's got it done. Same thing for Chenzo and his P2. Zav is under a little bit more pressure with Kaz behind him, but looks like there was some separation in that lap there. Is anyone under pressure of potentially losing anything here? Not really. Let's leave the penalties on now so we can just kind of see how that will play out. Chenzo picks up a 3-second, but doesn't really mean anything because there's a huge gap between him and Zav. So good time to get penalty, my friend. If you had to pick a time, that would be the time, I guess. But yeah, there's no one else really that I see that will change. Rami will pass Kaz with the penalties. Other than that, though, I think we are looking at our finishing order here, folks, unless there's some dramatic shenanigans into the last lap. But speaking of, we now have Hazy rounding out the race for us in style here in Australia in the Van Amersfoort, taking the lead back from Rami, who had it momentarily from the sprint race there in the drivers. It will be Hazy Ozzy picking up his 2nd feature race win, as long as he can keep it clean here, which he does. In a row, I should say. I think he got Britain last time as well. So awesome run from Hazy. Congratulations, sir. Very nice drive. Keeping your nose clean with Chenzo, another respectable P2. And Zav looking to hold on to the last podium spot after that brief moment with Rami there, who is now catching him, but who will be far away, too far away to make that move happen. So Zav will be your P3 finisher. As long as he doesn't crash too early here. Oh my goodness. What is he doing? Okay, he crossed the line. All right, good. With Kaz in P5 and Sweet Cheese picking up the spot over Kaz with the penalties there into P5. So Kaz will be in P6. T-Bone with the unfortunate drive-through really kind of took away a potential podium for him. Finishes in P7. Showed some great pace today though. JJ into P8. With Bella right behind him into P9, but he will pass with the penalties here, so Bella will take that P8 spot. Rasta will also take that other spot from JJ, who does get 6 seconds in penalties, to take 9th, which will drop JJ down to 10th, who will be the last point scorer of the evening. Just outside of the points was Sicario, Solrak with a big gap ahead, Skeeta Bike, Kevwood, and looks like Queens and the nameless driver have been lapped. So Kevwood will be the last driver to take us over the line here. I was told there would be a re-emergence this race. Looks like it didn't quite happen. But we'll see what happens next race. Next race, just before I forget, will be Baku. The legendary, dangerous street circuit in Azerbaijan. It will be next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, just like we are here now. Kaz has autographs available should you want them in the parking lot, apparently. And thank you, bro. Thank you. I appreciate that, boys. Yeah, that's been it for the Flower Cup action tonight. So overall, very strong race. Not too many incidents or any shenanigans that really we need to speak too much on. Overall, pretty clean racing, which was very entertaining. Not really a chance for me to take a breath with all that action, but hopefully you enjoyed the show along with me. We now see Hazy taking his 2nd podium of the day, his first win of the day, which is awesome for him. And the Van Amersfoort boys are, as usual, killing it, taking the top spots in the points, and again, that Constructors' Championship is over. So that is done and dusted. It's a shame that Chenzo wasn't here from the start. Potentially he could have mounted a challenge. But now we see the complete result here for the weekend. So looks like Hazy is overall your highest score with the pole and feature win for 28 points. Chenzo is going to be behind him with 23. Rami does lose 6 points on Hazy throughout the event, so now I believe that is a 13-point gap at the top, with Zav in P4 overall with 17 points. Sweet Teej got 16, which is really good for him. T-Bone, 10 points, which could have been a little bit more, but still solid. Zakario had an awesome sprint, which was really good for him, with 9 points there. Kaz as well, awesome decisions like I mentioned. JJ did pick up the penalties, which did hurt him in the end, but he had a pretty solid evening overall. And Bella, similar fortunes with him. Rasta did squeak in for the last 2 points, one of the last 2 points of the event, with Isasco picking up the singular point from the sprint race. So yeah, overall, guys, I really enjoyed it. Hopefully you did as well. Thank you for tuning in. Of course, if you wanted to catch the action next week, I most likely will be here again on Tuesday at the same time. Feel free to drop a like, subscribe, comment on the video should you choose to, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much. Hope you all have a good night. Bye-bye for now.